Paul has been in business for over 3 decades, and an incredible human being. So I've had the pleasure of knowing Paul for over 20 years as a friend. Learned quite a bit from him, especially when he was with the Remax Elite group of companies. And today he runs an incredible team. But one of the things about Paul is it's always approachable. He's always there to help support any questions that we have, and a very humble human being. Introducing Paul Blais.
You. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to present this, but do you have questions for me, or let me just tell you a little bit about my story, okay? And then we can. I want it to be interactive, if that's okay, right? Because I think it's really important that I'm getting older. I'm not sure I'm getting any wiser, but I've been exposed to a lot of different scenarios, and I'm willing to share, right? So I started when I was 24 years old, and started with my father, and he was a land developer and commercial realtor. And so when I started, the commercial side didn't really interest me at that moment that much. I did do it. I was a commercial agent, but I always wanted to explore the residential side. And so my father said, you got to do it on your own. So I had to figure shit out pretty early. And that's what I did. And so it took me a little while to get going, but I had incredible support and great mentors along the way. Then I got into when I made a tough decision to leave the family business and to get in with the best brand in the world, and that's with Remax. My father was very supportive. He understood my drive because I had a lot of drive when I was younger, and I still have that fire. But what I wanted to do was be around the best, and I wanted to learn from the best. And so now I've been with Remax 30 years, and it's crazy. I've been in real estate 37, and it's just flying by. But I can tell you that along the way, there's been a lot of challenges. And when you've been in the Edmonton market for this many years, and you've seen the ups and you've seen a lot of downs, is that it forces you to sort of make a decision early on in my career, where either you tough it out or you get out. So for me, I toughed it out, and I made some pretty important decisions early on, and one of them was coaching. So I've been involved in coaching for 27, 26 years now, right? I've always had a coach. I've had a couple of breaks, okay? But I've always had someone I could go to and learn from, right? Also, what my drive has been is I have made a lot of friends across Canada who have helped me build our brand and do it the proper way, right? So when people ask me all these different questions in regards to what's your secret, it's just being, like, show up, be prepared, and be kind, right? So I've always kept that as my guiding principles. And so with now having a team for the last 15, 20 years, it's sort of been our foundation, right? So when we look at showing up, is show up on time. Really, I encourage people to show up a little bit before their appointment. Simple things, right? Dress professionally, however that is in your world. Things have changed dramatically on that, by the way. My children have sort of told me, they work with me, Dad, you need to cool off a little bit on the wardrobe. I said, fine. And the second thing was really important is being prepared, right? When you are being given this opportunity to meet these people in their homes, you're there for a purpose. You're there to guide them. This is an important role that they've given you, So you need to take the bull by the horns and be prepared, right? I'm not a fan of winging it, right? I'm just not. Because it doesn't showcase really who you are, in my opinion. Be prepared, and the other thing that's really important is just be kind, and not only to your clients, but it's really to your colleagues, right? When you're in a brokerage of this size and you're going to be, you're exposed to different individuals, and you're exposed to different, well, look at the realtors in Edmonton. How many are we right now? 4,000?
No,
5,000, right? I mean, but back in the day that we used to meet our realtors, right? We used to, transactions where, I know I'm aging myself and I apologize, but I really enjoyed those times because it took a toll on our family for sure that I would have to be away so much. But when we would present our offers in person. Just think about that for a second. I would sit across someone like Sam, who's representing the seller, and I would have to present my offer to that realtor and to the seller, face to face, eyeball to eyeball. Okay. Talk about pressure, right? But I had to show kindness to them and respect, right? And now it's even more important to show that because we don't do it eye to eye anymore. It's all technology. So I emphasize with our team is be professional, be kind, show grace, okay? Don't take anything for granted. And I think in this day and age, when you look at AI and technology, and it's taken away a little bit of that belly to belly, and how important it is in our industry to continue that, and to be good humans to each other, right? And I saw a post this morning where a realtor acknowledged another realtor, and I like that. I love. Okay, we don't see enough of that. When we acknowledge another realtor for doing such a good job, right? So now, when it comes down to, if I can just share a little bit about our philosophy, my philosophy and my team's philosophy in regards to how we've built our company, okay? So started very small, but I can tell you, people ask me all the time, like, how did you start? I got an assistant early, okay? Really early, because I knew my weaknesses. Be humble, look deep down and say, what are my weaknesses? And get people who are going to work on your weaknesses, okay? So I knew I was terrible at paperwork, okay? I'm a good communicator. I know my strengths, but I certainly know my weaknesses. And then I filled those holes with people who are more capable than I am, right? So I knew early, this is because of my coach, Richard Robbins, when I first started in 2000 with him. He said, you got to let things go and give it to the people who do that job really, really well. Okay. So that I got, that leveraging people is only going to help me build my business. Okay. So I got an assistant, and then I got too busy, and I had 4 kids at the time. I couldn't take care of all the buyers. So I got someone who on our team to take care of the buyers. And then marketing, so I basically kept marketing. I had again, implemented a lot of different things that didn't work, and then measured them to see if they didn't work, and then got rid of them, started something new. But then I realized after growing with the team, we're adding more people, and I had my kids involved, that I needed a marketing manager. Okay. So now I have a marketing manager, takes care of all of that for us. Okay. And then I have a client care person who takes care of each detail with the client. Okay, so it's my wife, Shauna, she's my partner. She will meet the client face to face and say, listen, this is what you can expect from our team. Okay, it's not coming from me. Okay, so you see what I'm getting at in terms of, like, this is, in my opinion, is how we built a team that is, when we walk into an evaluation, we don't get them all. But when we do, we come in with a lot of confidence because we can showcase them. I can show them, like, I don't do everything. I have a team that does this person does that, and that. Now you see how that can really benefit you. You know, like, yeah, we can, right? So it's, now the reality is, you guys, it doesn't happen overnight. It's taken 37 years. And I'm tired. But I'm still having fun. And that's another thing too, like, be completely honest, is when you build a team, is, in my opinion, is culture is everything. Okay? And I protect our culture like you wouldn't believe. And Lindsay knows that, right? I select, and with Shauna, we select people who bring value to our team. Okay? Not just intelligence, but they're good humans. Okay? And they're focused on what's the best for our clients. Okay? It's that simple. Robinsons are very similar. You guys are very, very similar core values to us. Okay? So that's where it's important to understand, you know, your principles. And like, early on, Richard Robbins told me to organize, to understand your core values. Okay? So we understand, we have a list of core values that we follow on a day-to-day basis. Okay? And those are, again, values that I do not stray from. Okay? So that's important. Our team understands those points. And if anybody falters on those, then we address them. But I can tell you, it doesn't happen. It's very rare. I don't remember the last time I had to talk to a team member in regards to their behavior, about them not being kind, of them not being prepared, you know? So now we do have discussions about strategy. And sometimes I have issues with my boys with their strategy, but that's good conversation, because that makes me better. It makes them better, okay? Because it's constructive. Okay? So I'm talking a lot here. Like, I'm open to questions. So I just want you to know that I still have a lot to give, okay? And for the team, and like Sam was saying, is that I'm a person I'm an ultimate sharer, okay? So I have people from the brokerage who've reached out, they come to the office and they ask me a bunch of questions. That's stuff I really enjoy, okay? So if anybody has questions, you don't want to ask them today and you want to call me, just call me. Come to our office and have a coffee with me. We'll go down to the bakery. Right down below, we just had a new bakery in our building, which is pretty awesome. So is there any questions?
On that, Paul, I mean, we've talked about this. Competition takes place at the bottom, collaboration takes place at the top. How important is that with the collaboration with other agents in the brokerage, but also with agents outside of Excellence?
Thanks for bringing that up. So I've been running a mastermind group now that agents from different brands for 5 years. Well, sorry, 3 years since coming over from Remax Elite. And then prior to that, I had 3 mastermind groups at Remax Elite. That is really important in our industry, is to have collaboration with your agents, with different agents from different brands. But I can tell you that environment that we have, we're 22 of us that we meet once a month, is I met a lady at Costco yesterday. She's part of it. And I asked her, I said, is it still relevant for you? She goes, I don't want to miss it, because the subjects are very pertinent, okay, to our industry. And that I can share this stuff safely in a room of my colleagues. And I said, you're like, okay, so just to give you, the reason why I do this is because I want it to be a safe place for people to really talk about their challenges, okay? It can be personal, it can be business. And it is, and we have a code when we first started, that basically that people will respect this space, okay? And now, so those people, we have had very few people leave. Like, I think we've had in 3 years, maybe 2 or 3. And the reason why they have left is because I've asked them to leave. Okay, because they have not shown commitment, and that they haven't been giving. Okay. And because that's another part of collaboration. When you have mastermind groups, it's not all one person. This has to be everyone who's collaborative. And so that's how we run it. And it's been really, really advantageous. Now I have to say too, I'm a part of one that's across Canada. Okay. And I've been very fortunate to be asked to join about 15 years ago. And it has been probably the most important thing I've done in the last 15 years, okay? Because I'm getting ideas from right across Canada. And Ian's part of that too. And it has been amazing. So if you ever have an opportunity to join one, I would highly recommend that you do, with the mindset that it's not all about taking, it's about giving, okay? Because, you know, like they say, the more you give, the more you get back, okay? So is there anything else, like any other questions in regards to systems? We do have systems. That's another thing to you guys, to be honest, is we have systems, okay? And systems are so important when you want to build your business, okay? So when you're looking at doing multiple, like 20 to 40 to 100 to 200 to 300 transactions, you need systems, okay? And we're willing to share that with you, right? We had some people come to our office, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago, or whatever, and they're like, holy shit, there's a lot of checklists. And see, my assistant is very, Jennifer has been with me 13 years, and unfortunately she's moving. So we're in the process of replacing her, but she's been a godsend. And she has developed this with me in regards to all the different processes, okay? Because what's important is you don't want to miss a step. Because guess what happens? It comes back to you, okay? In regards to the client, like, especially at the end of the transaction. That's the most important part, okay? Because people forget about them at the end of the transaction. And so we have so many steps that we do not forget, okay? Communication before the sale, before the possession. Hey, have you done, you know, don't forget to contact your lawyer if you haven't heard from them. Don't forget about your utilities, all these different things, okay? And then at the end, we make sure that their experience when they take their keys and go open the door is one that they're going to remember that we were there, and then we've done something nice for them, okay?
What do you do post-transaction? We know you've got touch points over the next few years, but how long do you communicate post-transaction? What do those things look like?
So we have them on a list. That's a really good question. And so we communicate with them monthly. Okay, so we send them something every month, okay, through email typically. And then we have seminars 2 to 3 times a year that we invite them, okay? Now, we do have some of our clients following us on Instagram and Facebook, etc. And so, you know, excuse me, that again is a way to stay on top, right, in terms of and that engagement, okay? But we do communicate with them at least once a month, yeah. And then some of our clients are in our neighborhoods, right, of course, because we do a lot in zone 15, 17, 18, 19. And so when they get our just listed cards, we get our we do a monthly card, information card that I do through our the guys in Calgary, URS. And I'm telling you guys, that for sure has been incredibly valuable, okay? So when you look at wanting to specialize in a neighborhood, okay? That again, I learned very early on is be consistent, okay? So what I did is that I took one neighborhood, which was Bonnie Doon, and I flyered that place for years. And then I expanded to other neighborhoods, and now we do 14,000 homes. And I tell you, we do a lot of business out of that. And the thing is, they get that every month, and it's all information based. I do not put my face on that thing. Like, we have our team stuff, a photo at the backside, but all of it is about stats, because neighbors want to know what the house next door sold for. What the average sale price in the neighborhood, you know, all that interesting stuff. So we do that every month, okay? And so for the cost, I'll be very transparent. So that cost us about $85,000 a year. Last year we did 320,000 just on that one strategy, okay? And so, but we measure everything, okay? So, you know, Shauna sent me our list of how many transactions we've done this year so far. I know exactly where they came from. okay? So that's another thing. When I asked realtors, I said, where do you get your business from? And the majority don't know. They have an idea, but they don't track. That is an important part of your business. Okay, so you should be tracking where you get your business from. It can be very simple. I don't care if it's on a notepad. Every month you just put it in the notepad, but you should know where your past, if it's a past client, if it's a referral from a past client, a referral from a realtor. Okay, so referral from a past client, you need to contact that client and say thank you very much, and send them a gift. Okay.
Sure, the most of your business after 37 years, is that
Yeah.
right? Yeah, is previous client and referrals from previous clients. Would your flyers be the second
Yeah.
biggest source?
You got it.
Dollar in that?
Yeah.
Would.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So and again, is another thing too, and I'm a little old school, but open houses work for us. Okay. They work for us. And we do like last weekend, I had a friend of mine, he shows up to the open house and I'm there. I don't do a lot, but that one, there was a past client of mine, 35 years ago, I sold their house. Holy smokes, when you think about that. And they called me and said, we want to work with you only. I know you have a team. Would you take us on? I said, absolutely. And I went to go sell them a condo in Sher Park. I haven't done a buyer deal in, I don't know, 5 years. And I'm not saying that because I'm being arrogant. It's just, I have a team that does that. But you're a better agent if you do both, I can be honest, okay? But I did an open house for them. I had 10 people come through, 5 of them represented by real estate. I knew 4 of the realtors that were there, and they're all shocked to see me, okay? And they're like, you're still doing open house? I said, yes. I love doing open houses, to be honest. Okay, guess how many deals we got out of that open house? 4. Okay, 4 deals. In terms of, we had 4 offers come out of that open house. I got a client out of it. Okay, so, and I said to him, I said, I have to apologize. I don't do a lot of buyer deals. I said, are you okay if I refer you to my son? I said, of course. Okay, so now we got it, so that's where people say, like, what's working, what's not working. I can tell you that there's probably 20 things that we do on our list. I can show you. Well, we track everything, and the things that aren't working, we need to adjust. Because if you don't adjust, if you know that things aren't working, then it's kind of foolish for you to continue doing what you're doing. If it just not working, then shift, do something else, right?
When you're doing an open house, do you flyer the neighborhood
Yes.
beforehand?
Thank you. It's great. That's exactly what guess what we do. So we took pictures on Thursday. Sean and I take a stack, because I'll do the work, okay? And we went around the neighborhood and we invited the neighbors. Because there's 2 reasons for it. One is they're curious, okay? They want to see what this house looks like. But I look at it as that's a future client, okay? Okay, so that is a potential. We had 5 others, or 4 or 5 from the neighborhood come into the open house. So yes, we do that, okay? And so we did about 55 or 60 of them in the neighborhood. And then what else was that was it, right? That's what you have that flyer, yeah. We do that.
They're also curious about what the home sells for as well, right?
Yeah, but we do it the day of the photos, okay? We do the flyers, okay? So the days of the photos is usually Wednesday, Thursday, and we let them know that there's an open house happening on Saturday, okay? Come take a look, okay? So, yeah.
Well, this business is quite stressful, a lot of work. How do you stay? I've never seen you lose your cool. You're always calm.
Multiple times I've seen that.
But the thing is, I had an incident the other day that the gentleman asked me, he says, Paul, I sense that you're really frustrated with me. And I told him, I said, Christoph, and I said, the reason why I'm frustrated is because you can do better. I said, I know you, and you did something that was not okay with me, because you know the rules, you bent them, right? I said, that's not okay with me. Okay, so I said, that's the only reason why I was a little stern on my text. And because he called me and he knew right away. But for me, it's that I don't get mad very often is when people are doing things that are not okay. Okay. And then I call them on it. Like in the past, Sam, to be honest, I used to be very quiet. People find that surprising, but I used to not call people on their bullshit. Okay. And now I call them because the reason why I call them is I want our industry to be better. Okay. And we need our industry to be better. Okay. And so I'm not afraid to call people on their behavior. Right. So, yeah. So I do get mad sometimes, but Shauna, if Shauna was here, she'd laugh because, I do get mad behind the scenes because I know when I talk to people, I'm very polite, but I do get frustrated with some of our people in this industry. And there's not a lot of them, thank God, that can push that push me a little bit. And then, but I do call them on it. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something with stress. Okay? You know, stress is a funny thing. And I sometimes thrive in a little bit of stress, right? Maybe a little more than normal. But I take care of myself too. Like I do play things that I love. Like I do play hockey still. I play pickleball. I work out a little bit, and so I bike, right? So that keeps me my brain more clear. Okay. The other thing too, honestly, you guys, I know this. I don't want to sound like this health guru, but I made a point to get up every morning at the same time. And I made a point to, I'm taking creatine. Creatine has not only helped you with your muscles, you can't tell anything that my muscles are going to be bigger, but it's more for my brain. Okay, more for my brain. And I'm telling you, since taking it, I'm a little clearer, and I don't have the emotional ups and downs that I used to have a little bit. So something to consider. Yeah. Anything else?
Where's the bakery?
So our office is at 9608 82nd Ave. And then, so we bought a building there, a small little building. And then we have a bakery, Brio Bakery. They have one downtown. Yeah. And then we have a ladies store right next door. So you can go shop, you know, for some nice dress and have a dessert after. But if I can just share one more thing is, I think it's important that to have fun doing what you're doing, right? We spend so much time in our business that if you're not enjoying what you're doing, just reconsider maybe not staying in this business, right? Because I think it's such an important part to just, you know, we spend so much time with clients and you need to enjoy this, right? You need to have fun doing it. And the other thing too, I'm just gonna say is, just recognize your partner, you know, recognize them, thank them for being patient, and for being supportive in what you do, because I can tell you that I didn't do that enough. Okay. And I wish I could go back and make those changes. But the reality is today is today. So I can only control what I do today. And I tell Shauna often how much I appreciate her. Right. And so word of advice. Thank you for the opportunity.